Forget polite diplomacy. Taiwan is a ticking time bomb. China sees it as a breakaway province, while the US treats it as a key ally. With warships circling and tensions rising, this island of 24 million is ground zero for a possible US-China war. Behind it all, power, trade, history, and a brutal fight for the future of democracy. Are we past the point of no return? Beijing's obsession. Why Taiwan is China's sacred mission. To understand why China is so obsessed with Taiwan, you have to go back to 1949, the end of the Chinese Civil War. China was torn apart by brutal fighting. In the end, Mao Zedong's communist forces won and took control of the mainland. The losing side, led by Chiang Kai-shek, fled to Taiwan. Since then, China's leaders have never let go of that grudge. To the Chinese Communist Party, Taiwan is not a separate country. It's a runaway province that must be brought back under control, by any means necessary. Reunification isn't just a wish, it's a core part of China's national identity, something they call the Great Rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. For President Xi Jinping, taking Taiwan isn't just a goal, it's a mission. He's made it clear the Taiwan issue won't be left for future leaders, and yes, he is prepared to use force. As of early 2025, the warnings have reached a boiling point. The language coming from Beijing is chilling. In April 2025, a top Chinese military spokesperson, Zhang Zhaogang, said their latest military drills showed China's determination to protect national sovereignty and stop separatists. That wasn't a random comment, it was a direct threat. This isn't just political talk. The CCP's obsession with Taiwan is about raw power. It's about controlling history, controlling people, and showing the world that China can't be challenged. But if you really want to understand how dangerous this is, look at a map. Taiwan isn't just any island. It sits right in the middle of what military leaders call the First Island Chain. This chain stretches from Japan in the north to the Philippines and Indonesia in the south. It's a natural wall that blocks China's navy from reaching the wider Pacific Ocean. If China takes Taiwan, that wall collapses. Suddenly, the Chinese military could sail straight into the Pacific. That would put Guam, Hawaii, Australia, and even the US West Coast at greater risk. It also gives China more control over important waterways. The Taiwan Strait, the Miyako Strait, and the Bashi Channel are all critical shipping lanes. Billions of dollars in global trade move through them every day. If China controls these areas, it could block or tax global shipping, gaining enormous power. For the US and its allies, Taiwan's freedom isn't just about values, it's about strategy. Taiwan is the centerpiece of the region. Lose Taiwan and the entire balance of power in Asia could fall apart. US Admiral Samuel Papero made this clear in April 2025. If you don't hold the high ground along the First Island Chain, he said, you are vastly limited in your ability to operate. Translation: lose Taiwan and you lose control of the Pacific. Now, let's talk about Taiwan's economy, because this might be even more important than geography. Taiwan is home to TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. If you've never heard of them, here's why they matter. They make the world's most advanced computer chips. As of 2025, TSMC produces 92% of the most powerful chips on Earth. These chips go into your phone, your laptop, your car, your smart TV, everything. They also power the world's most advanced weapons, including missiles, fighter jets, and spy satellites. Without TSMC, the modern world stops. Your iPhone? Dead. US and NATO weapons? Crippled. AI and cloud systems? Useless. If China takes control of TSMC, it could shut off technology to any country it chooses. That would make Beijing more powerful than almost any government in the world. They could hold the global economy hostage. But there's another nightmare. What if war destroys TSMC? Military experts warn that even a short conflict could wreck the company's factories. If that happens, the world would face an economic collapse. Some estimate the damage could reach $10 trillion, worse than COVID, worse than any financial crash in history. Experts now say TSMC isn't just a company, it's the foundation of the digital world. Whoever controls TSMC doesn't just win in business, they win the future. And China knows that. So are they just talking? Are they bluffing? Absolutely not. Since 2024, China's military, the People's Liberation Army, or the PLA, has been running massive war drills around Taiwan. These aren't little tests or shows of strength. These are practice runs for a real invasion. PLA jets fly over the Taiwan Strait daily, ignoring the unofficial boundary line. Their warships circle the island. Their carriers and amphibious ships run full invasion exercises. In April 2025, they launched Straight Thunder 2025A, a terrifying multi-day drill. It wasn't just the army. They used their Navy, Air Force, missile troops, and even the China Coast Guard. They practiced live fire missions. They simulated cyber attacks. They tested beach landings. They trained for total takeover. Experts now say these are no longer drills. These are dress rehearsals for war. One analyst put it like this: Beijing is practicing every single move, and each time they're faster, they're bolder, and they're more ready. So where does this leave the world? Taiwan is now the most dangerous flashpoint on the planet. It's where old grudges, high-tech weapons, global trade, and military power all collide. China wants it. Taiwan won't give up. The US says it will help. And every day the threat grows. This isn't a warning for the future. It's happening right now. America's red line, US warships, regional alliances, and the vow to arm Taiwan. So, how is Washington reacting to China's rising aggression toward Taiwan? The official US policy is still something called strategic ambiguity. That means the US won't say clearly if it would defend Taiwan with force or not. But that policy is starting to show cracks. President Trump has now said several times, sometimes going off script, that the US would help defend Taiwan if China attacked. His team always walks those words back, but it's clear the message is changing. You see, as of May 2025, the US Navy is always present near Taiwan. American warships regularly sail through the Taiwan Strait, claiming the right to free movement, even as Chinese ships shadow them. The US also holds huge joint military drills with key allies like Japan, Australia, and the Philippines, countries that are getting more involved in the defense of the region. In fact, the Philippines has recently allowed the US more access to bases near Taiwan, making it easier for US forces to respond quickly if a crisis erupts. At the same time, the US is arming Taiwan with powerful weapons. These include F-16V fighter jets, HIMARS rocket launchers, Harpoon missiles to sink ships, Stinger missiles to shoot down planes, and advanced drones like the Switchblade and Altius. While some of these weapons are stuck in delivery backlogs, they show serious US support. There are also growing reports that small numbers of US military trainers are now quietly helping Taiwan's troops get better with this new gear and prepare for asymmetric warfare, a style of fighting that focuses on using smart, flexible defenses to wear down a larger attacker. US leaders keep repeating the same thing. Our commitment to Taiwan is rock solid. Behind the diplomatic language, the message is becoming clearer. America is drawing a red line. Can Taiwan really stop a Chinese invasion? China's military has grown at an incredible pace. It now has the world's biggest navy by number of ships, a strong air force with stealth jets like the J-20, and hundreds of modern missiles that can hit targets hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Some of these, like the DF-17 hypersonic missile, are designed to break through defenses. Still, crossing the 100-mile-wide Taiwan Strait and taking the island by force would be one of the hardest military missions in history. That's why Taiwan is building a Porcupine defense. The idea is to make the island so hard and painful to attack that China might think twice. Taiwan's defenses focus on mobility and speed. They have anti-ship missile launchers hidden in trucks, sea mines to stop landing boats, and fast attack boats like the Tiao Chang corvettes that can dart in and out of coastal battles. They also have portable air defense systems, upgraded radar, and a stronger reserve force trained for guerrilla warfare in Taiwan's mountains and cities. The plan is simple. If China comes, make every beach landing a nightmare, every street a battle zone, and bleed the PLA until it becomes too costly to continue. And the people of Taiwan? They're ready. Polls show that many are willing to fight to protect their island. The whole defense strategy is built on one idea: resist, hold out, and hope the world responds fast enough. For the US, this is about more than just one island. If Taiwan falls, many in Washington believe it would shatter America's reputation as a global leader. Allies in Asia, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Australia might stop trusting US protection promises. If we don't stop a Taiwan invasion, experts warn, why would anyone believe we'll help them? The fall of Taiwan wouldn't just shift military power, it would also send a dark signal to the world that democracies can be crushed, that borders mean nothing, and that autocratic regimes like China can do what they want if they're strong enough. It would encourage China to push even harder in the South China Sea or pressure Japan or India next. For many in Washington, defending Taiwan has become a must-win issue. If the US stands back and watches China take the island, it risks losing the 21st century, as some leaders have said. It would be the biggest challenge to American power and values in a generation. So what could actually stop Xi Jinping from making a move? Xi wants Taiwan, that's clear. He's said so over and over. But some major risks might make him hesitate. Inside China, even with all the nationalistic speeches, there are real worries. First, China's economy is struggling. The property market is down, debt is rising, and many cities are dealing with deflation. A war could crush the Chinese economy even more. Second, some parts of China's military still aren't ready for a full invasion. For example, they may not have enough ships to move troops across the strait quickly. Their ability to build runways after an airbase is bombed is also in question. These gaps could cause serious delays and failures during a real attack. Third, China might not want to go to war without full public support. And if the invasion goes badly, if Taiwan fights hard, if the US or Japan joins in, if the world hits China with sanctions like it did with Russia, the CCP could lose control at home. A long war, massive casualties, and global sanctions could ruin decades of growth and possibly create unrest inside China. That's a nightmare Xi likely wants to avoid. So how do we stop this from happening? By showing China that the costs of war won't just be high, they'll be unbearable. That means Taiwan must stay strong and keep improving its defenses. It means the US and its allies must speak with one voice and make their intentions clear. And it means building up a real, credible military presence in the region. Not just to protect Taiwan, but to show Beijing what a war would really look like. Diplomacy also matters. The world must keep telling China that peace is the only option. But that message must be backed by strength, by fleets, bases, weapons, and alliances that cannot be ignored. Taiwan, a democratic island caught in the crossfire of giants, a place where history, geography, and raw ambition collide. Is this the flashpoint that ignites a global war between China and the United States? A conflict that could shatter the world economy and usher in a new dark age? Or can wisdom prevail? Can this island, armed with its silicon shield and a resilient spirit, along with its powerful friends, stare down the dragon and preserve peace in one of the most dangerous places on Earth? The fate of Taiwan and the whole world hangs in the balance.